Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we are tackling something we've all struggled with, mastering those extreme, high-stress moments that seem to just pull the rug right out from under us. Look, if you've ever felt completely hijacked by your emotions and watched your logic fly right out the window, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to break down exactly how to get your control back. Seriously, think about it for a second. Have you ever made a major decision based entirely on how you felt in the heat of the moment, only to massively regret it later? It's a universal pain point, right? We have literally all been there. When that emotional hijack happens, reason vanishes, and we end up acting in ways that totally derail our actual goals. To figure out why this happens, it helps to look at a concept from dialectical behavior therapy, or DBT. Imagine a tug of war. On one side, you have the emotional mind. This is where your feelings are driving the bus. You're impulsive, and everything just feels completely overwhelming. On the other side, you've got the rational mind, which is all about cold, hard facts, logic, and critical thinking, basically ignoring your feelings entirely. But here's the catch. Neither extreme actually works when you're trying to navigate a real crisis. So here is our roadmap for the explainer today. We'll start with 1, the emotional mind hijack, move into 2, surviving the crisis, dive into 3, tip as your physical reset, unpack 4, ACPS as your cognitive shield, and finally wrap up with 5, returning to wise mind. All right, let's jump right into section 1, the emotional mind hijack, losing control. We really need to understand exactly how we lose control before we can fix it. You know that sweet spot right in the middle where the emotional and rational minds overlap? That's what we call your wise mind. It's this grounded state where we use both logic and emotion to make decisions that actually align with our values. But when stress completely hijacks us, we get stuck way over in the emotional state. We need a reliable way back to the center. Which brings us to section 2, surviving the crisis. Let's talk about distress tolerance. And that leads right into section 3, tip. Your physical reset. Time to change your biology. Look, when your nervous system is trapped in full-blown fight or flight mode, you can't just think your way back to your wise mind. You need a bridge. You literally have to change your biology before you can change your psychology. That's where the tip toolkit comes in. It's a set of distress-tolerant skills designed to rapidly change your physiological state. It essentially short-circuits your body's physical stress reaction to bring that extreme emotional arousal way, way down. Let's break down exactly what this acronym means. Here are the actual physical steps. T stands for tip the temperature. Splash cold water on your face, or even hold your breath and dip your face in a bowl of cold water. This triggers the mammalian dive reflex, which rapidly drops your heart rate. I is for intense exercise. Do some sprints or burpees to literally burn off the excess adrenaline flooding your system. The first P is paced breathing, where you deliberately slow your breath to signal safety to your brain. And that final P is paired muscle relaxation. Now, to really nail that paced breathing step, you can use the box breathing technique. When you get emotionally hijacked, your breathing naturally gets super shallow and rapid, right? By intentionally forcing a structured breathing cycle, you actively lower your heartbeat and physically tell your brain, hey, we're safe, you can stand down now. And 4 is your magic number here. It's the rhythmic anchor for the whole exercise. You breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, and hold for 4 seconds. This very specific, repeated rhythm physically forces your nervous system to calm down. Okay, once your breathing is paced, you move to that final P of tip. Paired muscle relaxation. You systematically tense your muscles, like really flex them for 5 to 10 seconds while breathing in, and then just completely release and let them go while breathing out. Start down at your toes and work all the way up to your head. It literally pushes that built-up stress, tension right out of your body. Moving on to section 4, accepts, your cognitive shield. Let's open up the cognitive toolkit. Okay, so your body is finally starting to settle down, but your mind? It's probably still spinning with anxious rumination. That's exactly where ACCEPTS comes in. It's a 7-part acronym of temporary cognitive redirection strategies. We've got activities, contributing, comparisons, emotions, pushing away, thoughts, and sensations. Now, the goal here isn't to solve your life's problems right this second. It's just to temporarily distract your attention away from the emotional pain until you're calm enough to approach things logically. Let's zoom in on 2 really powerful tactics from that list: comparisons versus emotions. With comparisons, you're putting things in perspective. Maybe thinking about a time you handled something way worse in the past just to remind yourself how resilient you are. With emotions, you're basically hacking your feelings. If you're feeling overwhelmingly anxious or sad, you intentionally watch a hilarious movie. You are actively forcing a shift in your emotional state to break the distress cycle. And then we have pushing away and thoughts. Pushing away is all about mental compartmentalization. You literally visualize putting the whole negative situation into a box, locking it up, and deciding, I will deal with this later when I'm calm. Combine that with the thought skill, distracting your brain with a cognitively demanding task. Try doing a crossword puzzle or counting backward from 100 by sevens. Your brain simply does not have the bandwidth to do complex math and panic at the exact same time. Which leads us beautifully to Section 5, returning to wise mind, achieving balance. When you stack the physical reset of the tip skills with the cognitive shield of the accept skills, something amazing happens. You successfully step out of that chaotic emotional mind and land right back in balance. Back in your wise mind, you're grounded. You still acknowledge your emotions, for sure, but you don't let them drive the bus. You are completely empowered to make decisions that actually line up with your long-term goals. And once we're stabilized in our wise mind, we can embrace the core philosophy of distress tolerance, radical acceptance. This means accepting reality exactly as it is, without judging it or resisting it. Now, to be clear, this absolutely does not mean you approve of a painful situation. But by accepting the reality of it, you stop fighting the facts and actually start finding solutions. You reduce your own suffering so you can finally move forward. So I want to leave you with this one final thought. The next time your emotional mind tries to hijack a high-stress moment, how are you going to use your tip and accepts toolkit? Because you've got the exact blueprint now to physically reset your body and cognitively shield your mind. Keep these frameworks in your back pocket, focus on what you can actually control, and you'll be ready for whatever comes your way. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.